The rain had been falling all morning, turning the London streets into sheets of silver. Amelia clutched her worn coat tighter, her fingers stiff from the cold. She hadn't eaten since yesterday. Just a cup of tea offered by a kind shopkeeper who didn't ask questions. She had been homeless for nearly a year now, living between bus stations and park benches, sleeping with one eye open. Still, she carried herself with quiet dignity, her brown hair tied neatly, her shoes cleaned in puddles when she could. That afternoon, while resting outside a small cafe in Kensington, she noticed something glint under a table where a man had just left. A black leather wallet, heavy and expensive looking. She hesitated, glancing around. No one seemed to have seen it. Her stomach twisted. A single 20-pound note inside could mean food for days. But when she opened it, her breath caught. It was full of crisp notes, cards, and a photo of a young boy smiling in a school uniform. The address printed on a business card inside read, Jonathan Reed, Reed Investments, Kensington. Amelia's conscience screamed. She could walk away, disappear into the city. No one would know. But the boy's smile and the photo anchored her. If that were my son, she thought, I'd pray someone would do the right thing. So, she stood, tucked the wallet safely under her coat, and made her way toward the grand mansion on the card. By the time she reached it, night was falling. The mansion stood behind tall iron gates, lights glowing warm behind frosted windows. She hesitated outside, dripping wet, her hair clinging to her face, her clothes heavy with rain. A security guard stepped out. Can I help you, miss? His tone was firm, suspicious. I found this, she said, holding out the wallet. It belongs to Mr. Reed. He raised an eyebrow. And you're? Just someone returning it. He looked her up and down, the soaked coat, the old shoes, and shook his head. Wait here. Minutes later, the large front door opened, and a man appeared, tall, mid-40s, with tired eyes and a tailored black suit. Jonathan Reed. He stared at her as though she didn't belong in his world. You found this? He asked, taking the wallet. Yes. Outside a cafe on Queen's Gate. Amelia said softly. He opened it, checked the contents, and frowned. Everything's here. He looked up. Why didn't you keep it? She smiled faintly. Because it wasn't mine. For a second, something shifted in his eyes. Confusion, maybe guilt. Then he nodded. Thank you. Most people wouldn't have bothered. She shrugged. Most people just need a little kindness to remember who they are. He glanced behind her, noticing the rainwater dripping from her sleeves. Do you have somewhere to go tonight? Her silence was answer enough. Jonathan sighed and stepped aside. Come in, just to dry off. Amelia hesitated, then crossed the threshold. The marble floors gleamed under soft chandelier light. Her reflection stared back at her. Tired, hungry, but still proud. She whispered, half to herself, I've never seen anything like this. As the door closed behind her, something inside the mansion was about to change, for both of them. Jonathan led her into a grand sitting room. A fire flickered gently, casting a soft glow on the leather furniture. You can sit, he said, pouring a cup of tea. And please, don't worry. I won't ask questions. Amelia hesitated but accepted the cup. The warmth bit into her frozen fingers. You have a beautiful home, she said quietly. He smiled faintly. Too quiet for my liking these days. She looked around. Expensive art, family portraits, silence thick in the air. You live alone? He nodded. My wife passed away 2 years ago. Since then, it's just been me and my son, Oliver. He's 8. Amelia's eyes softened. He's lucky to have you. Jonathan chuckled dryly. Lucky? I barely see him. He's at boarding school most of the year. He deserves better than a father buried in work. The words hung heavy between them. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hall. A small voice called out, Dad. A young boy in pajamas appeared, the same boy from the photo in the wallet. His eyes widened when he saw Amelia. Who's that? Jonathan blinked in surprise. Oliver, you're supposed to be asleep. I heard voices, the boy said. Amelia smiled. Hello, Oliver. I'm Amelia. He frowned, curious. You're wet. Did you walk in the rain? She nodded. Yes, but it was worth it, to bring your dad something important. Oliver's gaze flicked to his father. Did she find your wallet? Jonathan nodded. She did. The boy smiled, genuine, open. That's kind of you. Amelia's throat tightened. No one had said thank you to her in months. Jonathan cleared his throat. All right, Oliver, back to bed. But the boy shook his head. Can she stay for dinner? Please. Jonathan looked startled. Dinner. Amelia started to protest. Oh no, I couldn't. Oliver interrupted, eyes wide. Please, Dad. Just this once. Jonathan sighed, defeated. All right. In the dining room, plates were set like something out of a magazine. Amelia sat gingerly, unsure whether to touch the silverware. Oliver, meanwhile, peppered her with questions about where she came from and what she used to do. I worked in a small bookstore, she said quietly. Until it closed. Jonathan watched her closely. You have an education. She smiled. University of Kent. Literature. He blinked. What happened? Amelia hesitated. Life. One wrong turn, then another. But I've learned that being poor doesn't mean being broken. For the first time, Jonathan looked at her not as a stranger, but as someone who had seen the world differently. Later that evening, after Oliver went upstairs, Jonathan found her standing by the window. You know, he said, most people who cross this threshold want something. You didn't ask for anything. She turned to him. I didn't return the wallet for a reward. I did it because someone has to remind the world that honesty still exists. He looked down, thoughtful. You remind me of my wife. She used to say the same thing. A moment of silence passed, deep, still, human. Then Jonathan said, almost to himself, you've had a rough year. Maybe it's time someone returned to kindness. Morning sunlight streamed through the curtains. Amelia woke in a guest room she hadn't expected. Soft sheets, a window overlooking the garden. For a second, she forgot she was homeless. Downstairs, she found Jonathan at the breakfast table, reading the paper. Oliver ran to greet her with a hug. Jonathan smiled. You're up early. Sleep all right? She nodded, still unsure what to say. I should be going. I've already taken too much of your time. Jonathan folded the paper. Actually, there's something I'd like to ask. She froze. My company's been trying to launch a literacy foundation, a reading program for underprivileged kids. I've been interviewing coordinators, but none of them understood what it really means to start from nothing. He paused. Would you consider helping lead it? Amelia stared, speechless. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a chance, he said simply. Her hands trembled. I don't even have an address. He smiled softly. Then we'll fix that too. Tears welled in her eyes. Why me? He shrugged. Because when the world turned its back on you, you still did the right thing. Oliver piped up, grinning. Does that mean she's staying? Jonathan laughed quietly. If she says yes. Amelia looked between them. The man who had everything and the boy who had given her hope. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll stay. Months later, the Reed Foundation launched. Amelia stood before a small crowd at the local library, speaking about second chances and compassion. Behind her sat Jonathan and Oliver, smiling with quiet pride. The city lights outside flickered against the windows, mirroring the journey she'd taken, from the streets to the stage, from forgotten to found. And that night, as she locked up the library after the event, she saw her reflection in the glass. Not a homeless woman anymore, but a woman who had been seen, valued, and believed in. She whispered into the silence, sometimes, the door you fear to knock on is the one that changes everything. Moral: one act of honesty can open doors no amount of money ever could.